Hi, I'm Haven, and this is the story of Trace.
Are you gonna kill me?
I hope so. Although I didn't grow up hunting, Kobe introduced me to it pretty early on in our relationship, and for the past 5 years, I have shot multiple animals with a rifle. About 2 years ago, he wanted me to get into archery, so he set me up with a Mathews Prima. After shooting for a while and building up my confidence, the first animal that I shot with a bow was a pig, and then shortly after I shot a doe. In 2023, Kobe had a buck picked out for me. It was a decent 9-point that Kobe thought did not have the potential of growing as big as the other ones around his same age. Mid-October, I got my first opportunity at him. As soon as I shot, he ducked and turned and my arrow scraped the top of his back. We knew he wasn't fatally injured and that he was going to be okay. That evening, we switched to a different blind, and he was actually the first deer to come in. He ducked again, and I shot clear over his back. The next morning, a group of bucks came in before sunrise, and he was with them. I waited 10 minutes past legal shooting light to be confident in my shot. I knew this time to compensate for how far he was going to drop. Our initial thought of the shot was good, and we thought that there was enough penetration. After giving him a little bit of time, we started tracking him with our dogs. For the first 100 yards or so, there was a good blood trail, but after that, it was about every 50 yards and started to dry up pretty quickly. We tracked for hours, and we never found him. I felt physically sick knowing this was the third time I had shot at this deer, and I was afraid that he was going to go and die and never be found. That is not a feeling any hunter wants to feel, but to our surprise, 2 months later, he started showing up on the trail camera, and I'm not going to lie, he looked pretty rough. Knowing that he was still alive, I decided to give him a very well-deserved name, Trace, after the amount of times that I've shot at him. With spring and summer approaching, the deer were starting to grow their antlers back. We started seeing Trace on the cameras, and he was growing bigger and faster than the rest of the bucks, not to mention bigger than he was the year before. I started getting excited for opening weekend, watching Trace week after week grow into an absolute monster. The day was finally here. We set the first morning of opening day, but sadly Trace came in to the feeder that our friend Kason was at. That evening, we swapped stands, and lo and behold, an hour into our hunt, Trace walks out like he owned the place. For 10 minutes, I waited for him to turn broadside so that I could take my fourth and hopefully final shot. He finally turned broadside and I went to pull my bow back and it didn't budge. I thought that there was something wrong with my bow, but it turned out it was just my nerves. I took a couple of deep breaths, pulled my bow back, and took my shot.
Did just get a what I think is a pretty decent shot. It is a little high, so we're going to give him a minute, and we're going to go grab Dixie because I trust her a little more, just in the event something was to happen, that she will keep him bayed for me. But yeah, that's what's gonna happen.
Not long after starting to track him, there he was 80 yards from where he was shot. When I walked up on him, I was expecting a little bit of ground shrinkage, but to my surprise, the opposite happened. This buck was huge.
Look, Dixie. Yeah, a lot bigger than I thought.
Yeah, I told you.
Finally having this deer in my hands was a moment that I'll never forget.
There you go. And $97,000 you spent on protein feed. That makes sense.
One of the craziest parts of this experience is when we were quartering him up. The broadhead from the year before that we thought had went into his shoulder actually ricocheted off his shoulder and got stuck in his rib, and scar tissue grew up all around it.
Can you hold him? Yeah. I don't have to kill myself.
Did it just like grow scar tissue around it?
Yeah.
Is that a piece of the arrow?
Yeah.